You got a board depicting the Whitechapel district in 1888. You get 6 reference cards, 1 for Jack and 1 for each of the 5 police officers in their color. You also get a police tile in their respective colors, along with a pawn and a patrol police token in their color. There are also 2 blank police patrol tokens. You get a time of the crime token, 2 jack pawns, 5 wretched pawns, 5 women tokens with a red spot on it indicating the wretched women, and 3 blank women tokens. You get 2 alley special movement tokens and 3 carriage special movement tokens. You also get 4 letters from Jack. You get 19 yellow clue tokens, 5 red scene of the crime tokens, 3 blue false clue tokens. You get 1 Jack the Ripper movement track sheet and 1 screen for Jack. And you also get the instruction manual. Okay, we got the board here, and it is broken up into different parts. Now, as you can see, there's dotted lines representing the streets of the Whitechapel district. The red locations are where first the women tokens will be placed, and then the wretched pawns will be placed. They have this icon of the wretched tokens to remind players that that is where they will be placed. The black squares with the yellow border is where the police will place their patrol tokens and later on their police pawns. There is an icon of the police pawn there to remind players that this is where they will start. There is also a time of the crime track on the bottom of the board with an icon of the jack pawn to remind you this is where you would place the jack pawn after he kills his victim. As you can see on the board, there are spots for each night where you will place one of the jack pawns to keep track of what night it is. There is also an icon of the wretched pawns indicating how many Jack will kill that night. Take note that on the 3rd night, Jack will kill 2. Here's the spot where the police will place their police tiles to select the order in which each police player will be the lead investigator. Around the edges of the map, there are these like grid letters and numbers. These are used for several variants that come with the game. There is also some flavor text written around the board in different spots. You get a time of the crime track sheet for Jack, and in here he will record first his hideout, and then you can record the locations you move through on the corresponding night and time movement. You also get a screen for Jack, which has a miniature map on it, a reference spot here for how many carriage and alley tokens you get each night, and then also the order of play down here at the bottom. There are 6 player aid cards in the game, 5 for the police and 1 for Jack, and they give you some flavor text with the title of the investigator, the cop you're playing, and they also tell you how to play each step in each phase. The carriage tokens will allow Jack to move up to 2 spots from the location he is in. The alley tokens will allow Jack to move anywhere on the block that he is in. The time of the crime marker is used to keep track of the time Jack has to get back to his hideout at the end of each night. The jack pawns are used to represent Jack's movement on the time of the crime track, and they are also used to keep track of which night it is. The women tokens are used by Jack to deceive the police as to where he will place the wretched. There are 5 of them with red dots representing the wretched, and 3 of them that are blank. He will place these down on these red circles in any order he wishes, face down. The wretched pawns represent Jack's victims throughout the night. The crime scene token will be placed at a location that Jack chooses to kill a suspect. The police tiles represent the police players and are used to determine what order the police will be selected as the lead investigator with. They have a picture of who they believe to be worthy investigators, along with some fluff text down here at the bottom. The police patrol tokens come in the 5 colors representing each player, and also 2 blank ones. They are used to try and deceive Jack into where the police pawns will be placed. The police pawns represent the players playing the police. The clue tokens are placed on a location if a player playing the police guesses that Jack had been at that location at some point during the night. Now, as a variant, these blue false clues tokens are in the game. For every 5 yellow clue tokens Jack places, he can receive 1 of these blue false clue tokens. He could place these on a location on the board during the clues and suspicion part of the game. And when he does that, the false clue token will stay there for the rest of the night, and that will prevent the police from being able to search that location. There are also 4 letters used in another variant to help Jack. First, we have these white circles with numbers in them. They are locations that Jack will use to move across the board. Jack can move to one location adjacent to him in any direction he wants, as long as it does not go through a police officer. So say Jack was here at 65, he could go over here to 67, or down here to 84, or up to 64. But he could not go over to 82, 63, or 83, because the police officer is blocking him. But say he uses the carriage token. This allows him to move 2 spots in any direction he wants, even through police officers. So if Jack was here at 65, he could move to 82 and then up to 62, going through the police officer because he's using the carriage token. If Jack uses the alley token, he can go to any location he wants on the block that he is on. So if he were at 80 or 48 here, he could go to 79, or he could go to 45, 61, 43, any of them that touch this block. The wretched can move to one and only one adjacent location to them. So this wretched token can move from 63 to 65, or 63 to 82. There are a few exceptions. The wretched cannot stop their movement on a location with a crime token on it. They cannot move through police officer pawns to get from one location to another, and they cannot stop next to a police pawn. Police pawns can move up to 2 spots from the location they are, and they are defined by these black squares. So this police pawn can move from here to here and then here. They ignore the circles. Now for players playing the police, they can select one adjacent location to them and ask Jack if he were at that location. Okay, and an adjacent location is defined by the squares that they are sitting on. This police pawn is adjacent to 66 and 65. He is not adjacent to 84 because of this square here, or 67 because of this square here. Letters from Whitechapel is set in the Whitechapel district of London in 1888. Players will move along these black dotted lines representing streets as either Jack the Ripper, who is trying to murder 5 women over the course of 4 nights, or the police trying to catch Jack before he gets back to his hideout at the end of each night, or kills the 5 women within the 4-night time frame. If you are playing with more than 2 players, one player will play Jack, and the rest of the players will play the 5 policemen split up among them. In a 2-player game, one player will play Jack, and the other will play the 5 police officers. Players playing as the police will take their player aid card and their police tile, along with their police pawn in the color they choose. They will also take the 8 patrolling police tokens and the 5 wretched pawns and place them within easy reach of them. If you are playing as Jack, you will take your player aid card, your 2 pawns, the red time of the crime token, the 5 crime scene tokens, the clue tokens, the 8 women tokens, your time track sheet, and also the Jack the Ripper screen. Now, if you find playing Jack too easy, you can also play one of the variants, and in which case you would also take the 4 letters and the 3 blue false clue tokens. First, Jack will choose a location on the board represented by these circles, excluding the red circles. He will then mark the location down in this gray circle on his time track sheet, and he will do this behind his screen so nobody can see him. He will then place the time of the crime marker on one of his pawns in the spot above the time of the crime track, and he will place his second marker on the first night spot located here. The police will take their colored tiles, shuffle them, and then place them on the board in the appropriate spot. Now you are ready to begin the game. Jack will begin by selecting the appointed number of special movement tokens, the carriage tokens, and the alley tokens. Jack will then take the 8 women tokens and place them face down in any of the red circles that he chooses, in any order. Next, one of the players playing the police will take the top police tile and flip it over. The color of the tile flipped over will assign that colored police as the lead detective for the night. That person will take the 7 police patrol tokens and place them face down on the black squares with the yellow borders. Note that the black square with the red border is not used for placing the police patrol tokens. That is for one of the variants. The lead investigator will then move the time of the crime token 1 space to the left to the Roman numeral 1 spot. Jack will then reveal the women tokens by flipping them over and removing any blank ones from the board. The lead investigator will then replace all the women tokens with the wretched pawns. Now Jack has a choice. He can either wait or he can kill. If Jack chooses to wait, it will give him more time on the time track and possibly give him an advantage of getting back to his hideout at night. But it will also allow the police to move the wretched as potential targets closer to them. If Jack waits, he will announce this, and the lead investigator will take the time of the crime marker and move it 1 space to the left along the Roman numerals. Then the lead detective will move each wretched pawn one adjacent location in any direction he chooses, ignoring the black squares. Jack can choose to wait until he reaches the spot with the Roman numeral 5 on it. At that point, Jack must kill one of his targets. Jack will then have the opportunity to reveal one and only one patrolling police marker. If it has a colored dot on it, he will leave it in place. But if he reveals a patrolling police marker that is blank, meaning black on both sides, he will remove it from the board. If Jack chooses to kill one of the wretched, he will announce that he wishes to kill the other players. He will then select one of the wretched pawns and replace it with one of the crime scene tokens. He will then record the location of the wretched he just killed on the row of the knight that he is playing under the column of the Roman numeral represented by the time of the crime token. He will then replace the time of the crime token with his pawn. Okay, next, the police will replace the patrol tokens with the corresponding colored pawn. And remove the rest of the wretched pawns from the board. Now each player playing the police will be able to move their pawn up to 2 spaces on the board. A space for the police are these black squares. They will move 2 of them, ignoring the circles. If the player playing the police searches for clues, he will ask Jack if he was at a location adjacent to him. Let's say he asks for 174. If Jack says no, then the player can select another location adjacent to him until he either finds a clue or runs out of adjacent locations next to him. If the police ask Jack if he's been to a location adjacent to him and Jack says yes, Jack will place a clue token on that location, and the police player's turn will be over. Next, Jack will move his pawn 1 space to the right, select another location, and write that down in the corresponding night and time spot on his card. If Jack uses the carriage token, he would then place the carriage token between the next spot on the track and the following spot on the track. He will then write the 2 locations that he has chosen to move to on the time track sheet in the order that he moved. This will go back and forth between the police and Jack until Jack either reaches his hideout or the police either arrest or trap Jack. Then Jack will remove any special movement tokens and his pawn from the time track. He would move the time of the crime token back to space 1. He would remove the clue tokens, but leaving the crime scene tokens on the board. And then remove 1 woman tile representing the wretched and 1 wretched pawn from the game. Jack will also move his other token or pawn down 1 space to the next knight. Now, you must replace a police pawn with a patrol policeman token. It doesn't have to be the same color, but there must be one replaced there. The game will continue as played like the previous night, with the exception of night 3, at which point Jack will choose 2 wretched targets to kill instead of 1. where the second red chip that he kills is considered his first move, and the police will automatically start their movement turn. This will go on until either the police trap or arrest Jack, or Jack makes it to night 4 without being caught or trapped.